Well, here's another story out of Washington. We've been following it all day long. There is a growing rift within the government panel investigating causes of the financial crisis. The Republicans on the panel are in revolt against the Democratic majority's decision to push back the release of its final report, which was originally due today. Now, with this first on Bloomberg interview, Chief Washington correspondent Peter Cook is on the Hill with the Republican vice chairman. Hey, Peter.
Lisa, how are you? I'm here with Bill Thomas. He's the Vice Chairman of the Financial Crisis Inquiry Commission, former member of Congress as well, Chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee. And I got to ask you, I've covered the FCIC pretty closely for the last year or so, and it sounds like what you have here is a battle with your Democratic colleagues. You don't see eye to eye about where this panel is going in terms of its final report.
Well, today, Peter, is the day we were supposed to issue the final report. The statute says December 15th. The commission voted, 6 of the commissioners appointed by Speaker Pelosi and Reid, voted 1, to postpone it until sometime in January, 2, to time it with a book that they are writing. And the book is 500 pages, and they just voted, again 6-4, to allow each of us to have 9 pages if we want to put additional materials in the book or have dissents. And then I offered an amendment which would remove from the text that's already written references to magic or alchemy. That was voted down 6-4. So it became fairly clear that they're on a mission, and it's going to be 6-4 votes. So what we did was put together an interim question and answer to help people understand the causes of the financial crisis, which is what we were supposed to be doing in the first place.
So you've got not a full report here, but from the Republican perspective, members of the FCIC, your own take as to what caused this crisis. Let me just ask you, for the Democrats on this panel, we have not heard from Chairman Phil Angelides and did call the commission, and no statement yet from them in response to this. But isn't this just a difference of opinion as to what these causes were? Is there something larger here? And what are Americans to make of the results of this panel if you all can't even agree on this?
The easiest thing for most Americans to do is go to www.aei.org, because there they can find a copy of what we're submitting to Congress and the President on the day that it was supposed to be submitted, and that is simply a question and answer. Why was there a housing bubble? How did the U.S. government contribute to declining lending standards? How did important financial firms become exposed to the mortgage market? How did mortgage-related losses lead to the failure of important financial firms? How did the panic start? Why did it end? And why was the panic so painful for the economy? Those are the kinds of basic questions that, at least on the statutory date that we were supposed to submit the report, that I think the American people should be entitled to.
There's some reports out there suggesting that you all were less inclined, the Republicans on the panel were less inclined to look at the blame that Wall Street might bear, financial firms in particular. You want to address that? Was there a disagreement in the end as to how much blame banks themselves bear here?
There's always going to be disagreement in terms of how much the government and the so-called government-subsidized or supported entities like Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. There's all kinds of issues that needed to be resolved. The problem was that when we reached a 6-4 vote on one, using taxpayers' money, $40,000, to expedite the mailing of the books to the bookstores so that when they do produce their product, it will already be on the bookshelves. I don't think you need to write a commercial book. You need to write a report that would be provided to the government and the taxpayers. All we did, and you can allow yourself to make the decision on the paper itself. Again, aei.org, and you can look at the paper and make a decision as to whether we've slandered or misrepresented. But when I offer a motion to remove the terms magic and alchemy from the book, and get voted down 6-4, to what extent is that going to be a really serious study or a sensational piece?
You're still talking with Chairman Angelides. Can this be salvaged?
Well, if we keep having 6-4 votes, we've now decided to do it in January. It's a 500-page book. The minority gets 9 pages each. $40,000 of taxpayers' money is going to subsidize the mailing so they can be in the bookstores at the same time. At some point, 6-4 votes are driving us to say the reason they're doing this is for some other reason.
Bill Thomas, thank you very much for your time. Obviously, you're going to get a different story from the FCI Chairman Phil Angelides. Lisa, we'll send it back to you in New York.